Reverse 69023.
Hands! Hands! Open the door with one hand. Put both hands on the wheel right now. Do not move, you understand me? Don't you move! Alright, hold on, let him stay here. You mind the door? Let's, yeah, right here. Hey, pay attention to us. Put your hands on the car. No, get out. Turn away from us. Maybe the car is maybe in the back. Turn away from us. Walk backwards. Yep, walk backwards. You walk backwards. I got it. Walk backwards. Down on your knees. Down on your knees. Hands are off behind your head. Do not move. Do not move. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. That's kind of where it started. A bunch of stuff took place before that, and you're going to be gasping when you find out what. But that's definitely like the middle of the chapter in this story. What story am I talking about? I'm talking about Dustin Duren's story. He recently went to trial. We watched it on the podcast channel. We streamed it and watched it together. And let me tell you what, it's a wild ride, as you can see. Now you might be like, Paul, who's Dustin? Who's this Dustin Duren? What's going on? Well, I'm about to tell you a quick little overview of him. Dustin Duren was recently tried in New Hampshire, in Berlin, New Hampshire specifically, and charged with murdering the mother of his children, Caitlyn. The incident occurred on February 29th, 2024 at their apartment. Now, after the shooting, he took their two children, which triggered an Amber Alert by fleeing the scene. This is why this was called the Amber Alert trial. Now, he faced multiple charges, including second-degree murder, reckless conduct with a deadly weapon, and child endangerment. And a jury, 6 men, 6 women, deliberated for only 3 hours and found him guilty on all counts. Now, like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at clips from the trial and using it as a talking point. Now, we watched this whole trial, so what I want to do is just review those, go over some of my thoughts about him, about the case, and tell you the story from start to finish. So go ahead, get your puppy, get your little true crime blankie, get your coffee, whatever you need to get through it, and let's get into today's video.
Hey, welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup, hey.
Now hold on everybody, let's do a quick sofa sidebar now. Keep in mind, ain't no cop, ain't no doctor, ain't no lawyer, ain't no therapist, ain't none of that fancy credentialed stuff, okay? Only credentials we got up in here is my sass, and this sofa. Now keep in mind also, I'm just giving my opinions on very public information, so do your own research, come to your own opinions, and drop them off in the comment section. And while you're down there, if you do like what you see here at the Sofa Squad, drop a little like, drop a little comment, drop a little share. It helps the channel out immensely. Now let's get to edition. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. That's a sofa. Or that's a dog. This is Paul. My name is Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, my name is still Paul. Okay. Now, I already told you what we're doing. We're going to be talking about the trial. So let's go ahead and look at the first clip. What we're going to do is look at his interrogation. Now, here's the thing. I've adjusted the volume a little bit on this. It's an interrogation video, audio. So just do with that what you will. They have like the closed captionings on it, but we're just going to look at a few clips and talk about them. So this is after they've apprehended him, after, he's killed his girlfriend, the mother of his 2 children, and this is his story. Now, one thing to keep in mind going with this is that he is a veteran. He was a Marine. He was, according to him, a highly skilled, trained marksman, person who shoots guns really good. I don't know what that's called. He also had a YouTube channel where he made music and put videos out there and that kind of stuff. So this is important to know when we get into the money conversation. And he was obviously on a fixed income to some degree, and he had a varying level of success on YouTube. I think he had like 13,000 subscribers on his main channel. So, he was dealing with like limited funds, let's say. Keep that in mind as we go through it, but also keep in mind that he's going to be using the narrative of like PTSD, being trained as a Marine to essentially kill and eliminate the threat. All of these things, just put a pin in that and put it over there. And let's look at the first clip.
Training you're talking about is marksmanship training, not like specifically hostile, because that's what was my first thought is you're trying to remove the element from a harmful situation. Yes. So So do you have training like hostage type scenarios? Or is this more marksman training that you're referring to?
Well, it would be just from our, well, we would have done that in the coach's course as well. Yes.
Okay, key ingredients from this, if you were able to hear it. If not, I'll tell you key ingredients. You heard the detective. Is this a marksman training, or is this hostage training? You're trying to get Elowen. Now, there's 2 children involved in this, and the older one being Elowen. Elowen, he seems to have a fixation on. I'm not sure what. I don't want to go into, whatever. Let's just say that she seems to be the favorite child. He seems to favor this child. And the other child is younger, probably more cumbersome, and we'll get more into her later. So one of the things that is going on in here that you hear them talking about is the training and the this and the hostage. Caitlyn, the girlfriend, the mother, was on the sofa like this with Elowen. And we'll get deeper into the maneuvers of this when we hear him on the stand, because, oh yes, Dustin takes the stand. But just remember these key terms that he's using here. Hostage situation, hurting Elowen, trained, he doesn't say this, but, essentially he's alluding to he's trained to kill. He's trained to eliminate a threat, right? Let's get to the next clip.
For difficult past year, probably. You've done everything you can as a dad, and everything's been against you. She's friendly to keep the kids apart because you won't let her put them on your taxes. Stuff like that doesn't make sense. Obviously, you have to put up with it because you're concerned for the kids. I know you said you wished you stayed in Nevada in the first place because things were good there. You had this feeling in your gut.
No, it's all right.
Now, I wanted to put this clip in here for the talk of money. A huge thing, and we'll get more into this as we watch the clip, so just bear with me, is money. And he'll say that she threatened him, I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna pay this for child support, and blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, none of this had gone to a court system yet. This is all talk and alleged threats. If that really happened, however, I do not think that that did. But again, I don't know these people. I was not there. It's all just sofa speculation. Now, you heard him talking about the tax thing, like, put them on the taxes and blah, 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 blah. Another key ingredient that I want you to keep in mind with this is, and watch as we go through, is how Dustin interacts with authority, specifically people of authority, whether it's a male or a female. Right now, Dustin is in a room with police officers. These are 2 men, and throughout this interrogation, he kind of, he's guarding himself, but he tends to have a little bit of a, yeah, boys, you know how these women can be with the kids, trying to take all our money. That type of energy. Now, you will see the mask slip when we're in trial and a female prosecutor is coming at him, or even sometimes, in my opinion, his female defense attorneys. You can see this dynamic. And again, am I some psychologist? Absolutely not. It's just what I'm watching and the vibe that I'm getting, where I'm like, in general, to sum it up, this dude probably doesn't like women and doesn't view them as an equal, but more like maybe a possession that should not have their own opinion or like tell him what to do. Let's watch one more clip of that.
I know you had we'll call it a regret, I guess, of like, this isn't going to end well when you guys leave that restaurant and also be head back to your place. And do you have any other regrets or things you just wished, like in the whole grand scheme of things, if things went differently? Just like, obviously there's such a long buildup of you trying to make it work for the kids, and nothing seemed to go your way.
And there is a lot. I don't know if I would phrase it like that though.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
I do want to say this, that from every point of our relationship, her biggest issue was never communicating, which she never does to anyone, like her own family. Like I'm the one talking to her family.
Now, key ingredient of this clip here is a couple of things. The cops pander to him, right? I think that they can sense that he's this type dude that they're going to need to tell him, yeah, nothing ever went your way. You can tell something's off with the way she's acting. They're gathering intel. It's not a question if he did it, it's why, okay? Now, also in this clip here where they're talking and like, would you have done anything differently? He's very guarded about some of his answers, but notice what's not said, right? What's not said is, Yes, the mother of my children, I wish the relationship could have gone different. I wish things had worked out. I didn't want things to end this way. Now, granted, I get he's trying to get out of trouble. So, let's, be honest, Paul. Like, I understand that part, okay? But this is also for someone like him, many times in these trials that we watch, you want to look at what's important, what's not. This is very much a trial where what is not said, what is not done is very much just as important as what was said and done, right? So you have to look at these two and balance them out. Let's look at one more clip of the interrogation.
And I get, you know what, because I have to call it out, like, are you getting at, do I regret shooting her?
Well, this is your opportunity to say if you do or not. So if you want to address that, you can, please do.
I don't know if I want to.
You knew she was, basically your training and everything else in the marksmanship, you knew she was dead pretty instantly.
For sure.
Now, in this one right here, do you regret shooting her? And again, let's have common sense cap on Paul. Of course, he's going to be mindful of what he's saying. He did this. He's watching what he says. He's not dumb in this way, right? So, but again, there's no, the calculatedness. What's not said here. I wish things could have been differently. Even he hadn't come up with his defense yet. I wish she hadn't tried harming the children, so I was forced to. He doesn't know to say this yet at this point, though, right? We'll get to that in a minute. Now, another one thing that I want you to keep in mind is the story is we're going to hear from her Aunt Brenda. You've heard a little bit in the interrogation. Well, her Aunt Brenda is a key ingredient who will take the stand and kind of shed light on the relationship, but also a key ingredient of his defense, which was that Caitlyn was going to utilize her aunt to help kidnap the kids and take them back to the state where they had come from. He was basically tracking all the way across the country with the older child, Evelyn, while Caitlyn stayed behind with the baby. And she was coming over to New Hampshire to meet up with him. Now, he will also allege that Caitlyn kidnapped one of the children. I can't remember right now off the top of my head if it was the younger or the older one. Another time before, I'm pretty sure it was the younger one. And she's already done this once, Now, knowing those two things, and I'm using the word kidnapped right now, I want you to, going forward, exchange the word kidnap with escape. Okay, because the more that we learned about Caitlyn, the more that we learned about her story, the more that this man dug himself into his own self-pity, narcissistic, mansplaining, I don't know what you want to call it, okay? It was clear to me, at least, again, not professional, just, sofa watching the thing, that Caitlyn was escaping, right? And we'll get into some of the thoughts and processes I have on, well, why was she not trying to take both kids, or was she, or whatever? We'll get into that as we hear him talk more about the older child who he seemed fixated with. So let's go ahead and start looking at some of those clips from the trial, from the witnesses, and from him himself.
Reservation anywhere?
No.
Did she have a bus ticket?
No.
Was Caitlyn familiar in any way with the area in Berlin, New Hampshire?
No.
And the plan was that she would have the two children with her, correct?
Yes.
Caitlyn never texted you to say that she got into the restaurant okay?
No.
She never texted you to say the defendant was there?
No. She specifically said she couldn't text because he would control her phone.
She didn't call you to say that they were leaving the restaurant?
No.
Did she send you any...
Now that is Aunt Brenda, Caitlyn's aunt, the alleged one of the co-conspirators of the massive kidnapping propaganda scheme against Dustin, right? And what they're speaking of is a restaurant. So Caitlyn, remember, was coming across country. She's meeting up with him. To me, learning about this case, it was murky. It was like, are y'all together at this point? Are you broken up? What's going on? It sounds like she's wanting to leave. I could never really get a vibe on that other than she's trying to escape, right? So you heard the Aunt Brenda. No, she couldn't do that because he controlled the phone. Also take note of the emotion of her, right? This is someone, you might not be able to see in this clip, but she's upset, she's crying on the stand, okay? But also she's been heavily censored, and I'm just using that word, but you know how they do in the court cases where you can and can't say this. There are so many sidebars and going to the bench and all this kind of stuff with this case. She's been heavily redacted, let's say, as to what she's allowed to talk about. So keep that in mind as we watch this. That's why you'll see her pause and kind of like, no, or whatever, and they'll go to breaks and stuff like that. So this whole restaurant thing, Dustin in his mind, which he almost seems kind of paranoid, he is forming this whole thing of they've done this master plan and she's going to sneak off and take the kid and the Brenda's going to come. But also from this clip, please take note, it's some key elements of this. Caitlyn didn't have a car. Caitlyn wasn't familiar with the area. All of these things that would make you think kidnapping weren't there. In fact, when she was killed in front of her child, as he grabs her out of the arms, and we'll hear him describe this, she's on the sofa with her feet up. So this is not giving kidnapping, it's giving assassination.
Photographs of her with the 2 children at his apartment.
No.
Did she text you at any time and say, help, please come?
No.
Did she ever text you a code word?
No.
Did there ever come a time that you heard from Caitlyn after you dropped her in that parking lot in Ossipee?
Nope.
Was that part of the plan?
No.
And no other questions.
Now, again, I just want to show that you see how emotional she's getting, and we'll see the difference in this and things that she's saying and doing versus, the father of the children, Caitlyn's estranged boyfriend, whatever, I don't know what to call him. There's that. But again, all these things. Did she do this? Did she do that? Did she do this? One thing also to move forward with is Dustin's defense was called defense of others. And one component of it is to say, you know what? I think you're getting ready to cause harm or kidnap or do this or that, whether it's myself or someone else. And so his whole theory is she was getting ready to kidnap the kids and specifically maybe harm Elowen, who she had in her arms. Remember, this is like the favorite child. So keep that in mind, that is his defense. So he has to concoct a story as to why he would think this enough to warrant grabbing a gun and shooting her in the head in front of the child. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, we've heard from Aunt Brenda, we've seen her body language, we've heard the story about this, that, and the other from her side. Yes, of course, there's 2 sides to every story. Unfortunately, Caitlyn's not here to share hers. Let's hear from the man himself. I mean, it's funny because when we were streaming this, we were trying to take bets on, is he going to try and talk his way out of this on the stand? He absolutely was, right? One thing to keep in mind is, how these cases go where they're a little bit hush-hush, this, that, and the other, and whatever, until you get to opening statements. So in opening statements, we hear a bombshell from the prosecution, that he not only killed Caitlyn, but in front of the child, right? I had in my mind that this was going to be a case of, and for whatever reason, I think kidnap of they're trading the kids off somewhere, she's grabbing them, she's going, some very volatile situation. And then when I'm like, wait, what? He shot her in front of the kids? And wait, they were at home? Wait, she didn't have a car? Wait, she didn't know the area? Wait, she didn't, what? And so, well, what was she doing? Did she have the kid with a knife to its throat? Did he have to, on her knee in her lap? No. But the defense had a different story. So like I said, the defense claimed that he believed he was protecting his children from their mother. They went into the financial demands that she allegedly made, threats of kidnapping claims, and a struggle over one of the children, the older one. Now we'll get into in a minute when he tells what exactly happened and the motions that went through with that. So just keep those 2 opposing forces in mind. Prosecution is saying this was an anger thing. This was, this was not that. This was not any kind of like defense of others or self-defense or anything like that. And they are claiming, no, he was protecting the kids from this dangerous woman, Caitlyn, when in actuality, I believe she was trying to protect them and herself from him.
Did you have an argument about money?
Yes, so this was February 14th. She really what a lot of it was about money, but it also included how she wanted to put Elowen and Valen on her taxes. And I didn't even say no, but she just didn't even like that response.
Couple of things here. Notice he doesn't make eye contact. You also see him do this a couple of times after he finishes. I don't know what that means, but it annoys me. Now, what we're listening to is the direct examination. So this is his defense throwing him, softball, underhand pitches so he can tell his story, okay? Now, again, right away, you're going to start hearing like, God, money keeps coming up. Money. This is where, remember, I talked about earlier, where he is on a limited income. He's not getting, I think he was like getting $2,500 from benefits or something like that from his time in the service. YouTube money. Who knows if he's doing under, whatever, you know what I'm saying? He will talk about some jobs later, but he's like, well, yeah, I couldn't do all that because, you know, they wanted me to do this. And okay. Honestly, in my opinion, he probably sent Caitlyn out to work and then have her doing all the stuff when he got home, but that's a whole other discussion. Let's hear what else he has to say.
So she started making a lot of threats about how she was going to say that I kidnapped Elwyn and took her to New Hampshire without her permission.
Let me ask you, had you done that?
No.
And your understanding was that Caitlyn had given you permission to?
Yes.
And you had been staying in touch with Caitlyn along your journey?
Yes.
And sending her parents your address?
Yes.
Who did she say she threatened she was going to call and falsely make these claims to?
To the police.
To the police. Now here's my thing with this character meaning him. This is going to come up time and time again as his defense. Now again, I'll say this. Do I know them? No. Was I there? No. Okay, so anything is possible. There's two sides to every story. I get it. Now, that being said, I will say this to begin with. I do not personally believe that Caitlyn was threatening him in the context that he will continually say in the different ways, especially when we get into him leading up to killing her and the things that she was allegedly saying. Now, we all know there could be messy separations. People can say things. Absolutely, right? We get this. Who knows? But this does not mean that you get shot in the head in front of your children, okay? I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? So the other thing with this to keep in mind is in these conversations he's doing, she's not here to tell her side, right? Only he is here to sit here and say she said or this, that, or the other. Now, mind you, she can speak through family members and people of this nature who are, you know, can help, you know, her voice or whatever. I personally think that a lot of the stuff that he said she's doing are many confessions on his part. I also think that his weird fixation with the older child, like I envision a scene of him being like, I'm taking Elwyn, and he does talk about this where he's like, Elwyn did so good in the car, you know, the younger one, she's too young to do that, you know, she can't do that. So he's leaving her with Caitlyn, and he's taking Elwyn, who seems to be the apple of his eye. So that weird fixation plays out, and I think that he used that, he kind of weaponized that. And I think that's really what's going on here. And so her being like, I'm gonna say you kidnapped. He could have been the one who was more or less actually kidnapping her. Because I can, just a little bit I met of this man, I'm like, oh, if he was gonna say he's taken her and she said, I don't want you to do that, oh, he was going to do it, right? That was probably also his insurance to control her, Caitlyn, okay? I think that the vibe I got, and I think the vibe I got, is the children were more or less pawns to him and not so much children.
Had Caitlyn told you she was taking Valen to Minnesota?
No.
Had you given permission for Caitlyn to take Valen to a different state?
No.
What did you do when Caitlyn told you that she was at the airport with Valen about to take your child to a different state?
So I freaked out. I immediately drove to Elwyn's daycare because I wanted to see if she had grabbed Elwyn too. And so I went there, and no, she wasn't. Elwyn was still at the daycare. So I picked her up and then sped to the airport.
Now, this is the part I think is interesting. He immediately flew there to the daycare to see if she was doing that, ran to the airport. Now, this is a good time to talk about this thing because I saw this come up in comments and stuff like that. Why didn't she take Elwyn? Why was she just taking, if this is the way this truly played out, right? Okay, my interpretation is this. Watching this case and seeing his strange attachment to Elwyn and how it was very clear, in my opinion at least, that this was his favorite child. I personally think that Caitlyn probably was like this, pretend I'm thinking out loud for her. I know he's not going to hurt Elwyn. I can't say the same for me and the baby though. I mean, clearly, look at where we're at. Also, you see, I ran there to see if she was, there. If she had both the children, there's no telling what this man would have done. So I think that Caitlyn knew intuitively he's not going to hurt her. I can get this the more vulnerable child away. I mean, they're both vulnerable, you know what I'm saying? I can't say he's not going to hurt the two of us. He's not going to touch her. Let me get this one to safety. Let me do this. And then we'll go from there. And there's no telling what he did, okay, in the middle of the manipulation and getting her to come back out and all this type of stuff. There's no telling. But that being said, I do not fault her for doing that, because I think that she knew intuitively, this is how I have to make this escape from this man, and this is part of the process, right? And again, I think if that is, and again, I don't know her, so I mean, again, I don't know. This is just, sofa speculation here on my part from what I saw. But if that was the case, we clearly see that hunch would be right, because here she is. Honestly, I'm surprised the children are alive. Right? I'm surprised this did not end in a family annihilation, or once he had done away with her and then left with the children. Once the baby, because when they found the baby, number one, she's not strapped in the car seat. Her diaper was overflowing. She was going to be a hindrance. He already said on the stand at one point, she can't go across the country. She couldn't do this. When we decided we were going to move back to New Hampshire, I was going to take Elwyn and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so again, leaving the mom, and I can understand there's some things of it was like, well, she's breastfeeding, or the baby is going to be in a more, we needed to be around the mother in certain situations. However, even if those weren't present, there's something odd with him and his dynamic between the two girls. Okay, so all that being said, let's keep going, because I can get hung up on just that dynamic of this case forever.
And as I was doing that, I was calling my parents. I called her dad, Rob, just trying to figure out what was going on. And it seemed like no one knew what was going on.
Did you talk to Caitlyn again that day?
So eventually I did get her on the phone, and this was while I was still driving, and she said she wasn't going to come back through security because... and I started telling her I at least want to say goodbye to Valen, and for her to at least say goodbye to Elwyn. But she just said she wasn't going to go back through security.
And thank the Lord she didn't. I want to at least say goodbye to Elwyn. Please. Even the way he says it, you can tell. I get this dark, hollow sense off of him, right? Now, also notice this, I called the parents. He tried to make those parents think she was crazy. They didn't know anything. Right? I don't know. Again, I don't know, right? But I would think if they knew that she's trying to get away, okay, they're going to do whatever they have to do. Now, another question that you might have at this point, if you're completely unfamiliar with this, is where are the kids now? What happened? The kids are, at least the time of this trial, this is recorded towards the end of October 2025, they are split custody with both sets of grandparents. So I think that the irony of that both sets of parents of both the victim and the perpetrator, him, were able to come to an agreement to split the children. I don't know what the custody split is, but that's their business, right? So there's that. I think it's good that the girls are with family, right? They're not thrown into the system. Already their mother is now dead. They're going to have to deal with that. Their dad, who I would say is probably arguably the best thing for him not to have access to them, okay, after what we've learned. But obviously he's not going to be around anymore, okay? So let's keep going.
And then every so often I would go to the room just to ask, hey, what's going on? Is Brenda picking you up here? Are we meeting her somewhere? Just what's the plan? What is going on?
Now, what he's talking about in this segment is he's talking about we're getting up to the moment where he kills her. And he's describing this whole day. We went to the restaurant, we come back. She was supposed to not even stay the day, but she's going to stay. So I said, okay, you can stay the night. You sleep in here with the younger child. I'll sleep over here with Elwyn. All the things, right? And so basically he's like, well, when are you leaving? When are you leaving? When are you leaving? And she's not saying anything. She's not leaving. And Brenda, remember Aunt Brenda, who I told you, that he thinks there's this conspiracy for her to come get her, and she's going to do a signal, and she's going to come, and they're going to sweep the kids up and run out, right? So it is my belief that at this point, she was essentially being held captive, all right? Now, she might have been trying to get away and looking for a moment to get away with the kids, right? And it probably is what was going on to a degree, okay? But again, what he is saying is kidnapping, what he is saying as hostage is escape. Now remember, in these kind of situations with men like this and this type stuff, leaving is one of the most dangerous times, okay? And this is, in my opinion, what she was trying to do. She was trying to escape the best way that she could with the least amount of collateral damage. And sadly, fortunately, the children survived it, right? They will be, obviously, this is very traumatic because it was almost like this was a train wreck just headed this way, right? And so, unfortunately, she, like so many other domestic violence victims, did not survive this man, right? So let's keep hearing what he says happened in these final moments of her life when he made the decision that she had to be eliminated.
What did Caitlyn say in response?
She was not responding. She was completely ignoring me, just kept playing with the girls. So about like every 15, maybe it was a half an hour, maybe every 15 minutes, a half an hour, I would come back and ask again, hey, what's going on? What is the plan? And she just kept ignoring me.
One thing I want you to pay attention in with this, we see it in here, is, in my opinion, he's getting angry even recounting this. He's like, what she was doing, she wasn't talking to me, or maybe frustrated is a better word, I don't know. But you see this other thing coming up. He's being, you know, the girlfriend, the woman is not doing what I want her to do. This is not protocol. This is not the plan. What I say goes, okay? And she's not doing what I say. So she's got to go.
She wanted to come back to the house all of a sudden. I'm confused about what is going on. There's a lot going through my head. And one of the things that's in the back of my head, which is why I'm bringing up these stories in the first place, is that the last time she was ignoring me and not telling me what was going on was when she stole Valen out of Nevada.
You see the way he looked at her? That's what I was talking about. How about those cookies, right? That's how he looked. Now I put this clip in here, let me pause it, so that you could see this right here. Number one, the last time she did this, she was doing this, and that's when she stole Valen and went back to Nevada, or whatever he said. And he's getting, you can see how he's getting up there. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say that something like this doesn't occur in relationships and like situations, whatever, like where one's, I'm going to threaten you with these kids, whatever, right? So I wasn't there. Again, learning what we learned of it, it just seems to me like she was constantly trying to escape this man. Then that he would get controlling, and maybe she was trying to make it work with the kids, because of my understanding, one of them was 2 and one's 4. So there's like a span of several years that they were, obviously together on some level, having children together. So, it wasn't like there was just like this, like, oh, we've just been together a year. I mean, this is a minute, okay? So she was probably trying to make it work. And, oftentimes people like this, they'll pull you back in. They'll love bomb you. They'll do this. Oh, it'll be better next time. It'll be this or that. Or he's using the children as control and pawns and whatnot. I think there's several things going on here with this. But again, notice, moving forward, his frustration, his level of anxiety rising with this.
At some point, did you tell Caitlyn that she couldn't stay in your apartment anymore?
Yes. So this is when I'm continually asking her about what's going on. I'm saying, hey, I said that you could stay the night, but you can't stay longer. So what is the plan? You can't stay here. What is the plan? Like, if I need to drive you all the way back to Hampton, fine, but I need to know what is going on.
Listen to the way he talks on the stand to her, to the defense attorney. Imagine him at home, free range, just at home, and you are telling him something he doesn't want to hear. Imagine where that would be at, because you can see he's being, he's trying to be like level it out here, right? Anybody would, okay? I mean, I get it. So, but this is where, in my opinion, the mask comes off a little bit. And you see him, and to me, his body posture, and again, I don't know, right? I'm not a body language expert, but his posture, to me, the feeling I get from it is, do you believe that? Do you believe that? Like, do you believe what I'm telling you, right? I'm trying to sell the story to you, that type thing.
And then she's facing out towards me. And at this point, just one arm, Caitlyn has one arm around Elowen, like around her chest.
And what did you do when you saw Caitlyn holding Elowen from behind?
So I just started saying, hey, what are you doing? We need to go. And at this point, this is really to where the first time she said anything in which she just said, no, I'm not leaving.
And that right there, He was never going to have that. Now, again, so she's holding the favorite child, allegedly doing this. I'm not leaving. I'm not doing this. And he's at this point saying, you got to go. You got to go, right? He's trying to get rid of her. So, honestly, to me, the whole time I'm like, it sounds to me like he was trying to kidnap the kids. Now, again, keep this in mind. They have not gone through the court systems. None of this has gone through any official, we're going to set up this kind of, you got to pay this money or this money, child support. None of that's been done. Right? So this whole little bit of this is just a couple that, to me, I was like, this is the preliminary stages and a separation of a couple with children that is going to end up in some kind of family court to resolve things and be like, this is where this needs to be, right? It's going to be messy is what I'm getting at. He wasn't going to have that. And also on that level, amongst the multiple reasons, is money.
And this is where she first starts really talking, and where now she's making these demands for just a substantial amount of money that there's no way that I could pay her. And I'm telling her this, like, I can't get you this kind of money. Like, I don't have this kind of money. I'm paying you what I can. I'm sending you what I can. I can't pay this. And then at this point, this is where she's saying, or now threatening, that then, if I can't pay her, then she's going to say that I kidnapped Elowen from Minnesota without her permission, and that she was going to call the cops and have me arrested, and that then I would never see the kids again.
Well, I guess there's only one thing to do then, right? Now, here's a couple of things. Number one, he changed that. He's like, she was threatening. Another thing that he would say is that at one point he was like, I'm going to have to go sell the truck to get you this money. She wanted $2,000 a month or whatever. He always goes back to money. And again, I'm not trying to say that there's not people out there who have done this to somebody. I get it, okay? 100%. Also, keep in mind with this, he has had to take the time to cook up an excuse and a narrative to fit the defense of others, which is keywords he's using: threatening, hostage, ransom, all these things. According to him, she's on the sofa. Well, you know what? Let's use little Roscoe. She's on the sofa here. I'm not leaving. You need to get $2,000. No, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving with a kid. This child is for ransom. Do I believe that? No, I don't. I don't think she was doing that. Was I there? No. No. But I don't believe the story he's telling me. There's parts of his story that I believe, and I think there's truth to. This isn't one of them.
The best way to describe this, I think, is in like a Marine Corps color code system. So it's like a situational awareness, like an internal radar system, but to where just naturally, just a normal person would just be in white. Like their radar is off. They're not, like, you're walking into a restaurant and you're not concerned with, like, you're not thinking about threats. You're thinking about, like, what's there to eat. But I think combat vets, probably police officers, I think can say the same thing, that they're probably going into a restaurant and they're just kind of aware of maybe suspicious people or suspicious things that are around, or they want to sit in a corner booth or with their backs against the wall so that they can visually see things.
One of the failings with this story that he's trying to sell us is that he's trying to convince us that there is such an imminent threat that he had to shoot her in front of the children. Grab the child from her and shoot her in the head. When you hear what he's talking about, there was time to grab the phone and call the police. Now, I'll say this. I understand that probably the police weren't going to give him the answer he wanted, which could very well be the kids are going with the mother. She's going wherever she's trying to go. She's taking the kids. So he's lost control, whatever he's trying to maintain over, right? Because it doesn't sound like he wants her, right? It sounds like, I just think he wants control of everybody. So he's probably not going to get the answer, but also she has the kids and does that, and like probably evidence of what he's done, his abusiveness comes out. He's going to be owing her child support, and he doesn't want to pay that. Now, I don't know how that world works, but my logic, and you can tell me in the comment sections, and I'm going to make up numbers here. Let's pretend that you go through the court systems and they say, oh, the only income you have coming in is, and I don't know the proper name for this, but just your retirement from a veteran, your middle service, let's call it that, $2,500 a month. They're not going to sit here and say, well then, yep, she needs $2,000, so you're given that. they're going to do it on a sliding scale of, well, this is what you bring in, this is what you can afford to pay, so you owe her blank. Now, that might not be realistic on that. It might be like, well, you only owe her like $100 a month, whatever it is. He might still be having to pay stuff, but he's so fixated on that number. Now, y'all might, people out there might have experience or more knowledge of this, might say, oh no, Paul, they'll do blank or whatever. I don't know. It's almost like, are you going to get blood from a turnip, right? And especially in his situation where it sounded like he had some things going on to where the reasons why he's not in the military, he might not be able to go back allegedly to work, or I don't know, right? That part I'm confused on. But what I'm getting at is there's other options for him to have done besides grab a gun off the desk and shoot her in the head, okay? And he's trying to sell this like there was such an imminent threat. Also, look at him. This is a Marine. This is a tall, muscular male. Caitlyn was, if you saw the picture, I mean, I'll put one up over here, y'all. I mean, please. I'm like, and she didn't have a car. I'm like, where's the threat? Okay. If she's trying to harm the child, you get the child from her. You go outside with the phone, you call the police and have them come and sort it out and get rid of her off the property. But that's not what was going on, right? That's the other key element here. That's not what was really happening.
So I'm now seeing a potential threat. I'm seeing my child being restrained to where I can't get to her. I'm thinking of all the suspicious stuff that has been happening about how there's some sort of plan going on, but I don't know about what's happening. And now with these threats now and her not leaving, like something is seriously wrong, something is seriously happening. And with her now holding Elwyn hostage and making these demands, my radar's on. It's on orange. I'm seeing a potential threat, and now I'm observing what else is going on.
So Williams' interrogation, this is all that's going on in my mind right now. It's a little voice in him saying, things are getting out of control really fast, Dustin. What are we going to do? This is getting out of control really quick, because that's all I hear. Okay, notice restrained, demands, hostage, child's being hurt, code orange in the military training, there's a threat. You know, I'm going into mode of eliminate the threat, do this or that. It's a real far stretch, okay? A real far stretch that he's trying to get everybody to. Clearly, nobody went for it.
So at this point, this is where I'm thinking, okay, weapons. Okay, my desk, or my gun is on my desk next to the couch. I'm thinking of the knives that are behind me. I'm thinking of the doorways.
Now, one thing to also keep in mind is how much he goes on about how he's trying to protect the children and do this and do that. He's got a loaded gun back here on the desk, knives, this, that, and the other. You know, and you're listening to it, it's like, well, you could just turn around and grab the gun, but was this in like reach of the children? Like, you know, you're shooting the weapon off with the kid in her lap and killing her, like, what? But it's a big deal to him to be like, no, you know, I want to make sure the children are safe. The children were okay. The kids are not okay. Okay, you just shot the mother in front of one of them. Okay, this is what I'm saying. None of the story makes sense.
She tells you you're never going to see the girls again?
Yes.
And what was she doing while she was telling you she's going to take your girls and you'll never see them again?
She's holding Elwyn hostage in front of me, using her as leverage to try to get what she wanted.
What are your daughters doing at this point?
Again, you heard that right there. Hostage, leverage, to try and get what she wants. And even if there was a level of this going on, again, okay, let's say she was doing that. Let's say she was holding the girls hostage. Let's say she was talking about this. You call the police. You say, I need someone here. This is escalating to a situation. I need you to intervene and make whatever happen. Is that the ideal thing? Absolutely not, right? But shooting her in the head in front of the kids wasn't either.
Just the big thing that happened here is Elwyn screaming, Elwyn yelling. And that was the point to where, again, I let go after Elwyn's scream. And I'm locking eyes with Elwyn, and she's crying. She just let out this scream. And this is where, when I'm talking about the line was crossed, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Elwyn now physically being hurt in front of me.
Now remember, she's the favorite daughter. In a minute, he'll talk about the babies in the kitchen crying, but he can't take eyes off of them to go check on the baby. He's very hyper fixated on Elwyn. And this whole thing of, oh, she's hurt, she's screaming. Now he'll be like, after he shoots Caitlyn in front of Elwyn, and he grabs her and runs out of the car, I'm not sure what he even does with the other child. He's like, well, I was checking her over to make sure she was okay and she didn't have any injuries, she's good. And I'm like, okay, well, you're just saying that, you know, and I get if it was true that, you know, she's like trying to hurt Elwyn, so maybe she didn't get a chance to, right? But I do not believe that that's what happened. This is what I'm talking about, where you can tell he's kind of like just staring at, he's not making eye contact, he's doing this whole thing, and then he'll look for an approval, almost like, did you buy it? Did you buy it? I do not think she was doing this at all. If anything, he could have been trying to grab Elwyn from her, and him being the one to cause harm.
I take the 2 steps over, grab the gun. As I'm taking probably the 3 steps back over, I'm chambering around into the gun. I grab Elwyn by the shirt collar, the front of her shirt collar. I pull her forward, not to me. I pull her forward to get some sort of distance between her and Caitlyn. Pull her forward, and then fire.
Is Elwyn still in Caitlyn's arms when you shoot?
Yes.
What happens after you fire?
So immediately after I shoot, so I'm holding Elwyn by the collar. She's, again, Caitlyn is still bear hugging Elwyn at this point, but the moment I shoot, that's when Caitlyn releases. I pull Elwyn fully into me, and I immediately run out the door and run to my car.
Okay, sorry, I'm like walking through this to get like a visual of this, because at one point he wants to actually show the jury what went down, right? And I'm like, you want to show the jury? Walk them through and give them more of a visual, how you killed the mother. So am I walking through that? So a couple of things. My mind's jumping right now because this part just, boom, gives me chills. Number one, so again, this is my reenactment. When he's saying this, he's trying to dance around it, so she's still holding a bear hug. Well, obviously when he shoots her, her body's gonna relax, and he grabs the baby, or the child. Bless her heart, she's still a baby. I mean, she's 4 years old, you know what I'm saying? So she falls back, right? Now, mind you, she's on the sofa. This is the level of threat she is, okay? So, sorry, Roscoe. Sorry, didn't mean to throw him around. So, when he's talking about, I grab the gun, and even when I'm going through the motions, I'm like, is it that serious? You're grabbing a pistol and putting a bullet in the chamber, grabbing Elwyn by the front collar, pulling her away. And I guess what he's trying to say is pulling her away from the mom, and bam. Because he's like, I didn't pull her to me. What he's also wanting to do is to paint a picture like he did not in any way put the child in harm's way in his mind of the gun. Like maybe he was like, knew if you hold her and shot, it could be bad, like it kicks back, or I don't know how guns work in that way, right? But he's trying to paint that picture. So he's doing multiple things at one time. He's trying to describe an escalation that is severe enough for him to shoot the mother in the head, but also that he's trying to protect the child at the same time. Now, they will also talk about, and it might, I don't know if I pulled the clip or not, but where he's like, she was holding her ears saying, loud, loud, loud. I mean, bless the little thing. He fired off a gun a foot away from her ears, okay? I mean, this is what's bone chilling, where I'm just like, it went to that level that, what? Like, was this it? Huh? And again, this is if you believe his story and you're going down the pipeline that she's threatening, she's holding hostages. I don't believe all that at all, right? At all. I don't believe that one bit.
I said this to where this is when I realized what had happened, to where like consciously I'm realizing this wasn't just someone that I shot. This was Caitlyn. This was someone that I cared about, who was important to me and my family and my kids. This wasn't just some random person. And I immediately felt horrible.
I want to crawl under this damn sofa, y'all. The cringe when he tried to pretend cry. The only thing I'll give him is that he very quickly moved on from the pretend crying, right? You know how sometimes, like Donna Adelson over there, Harvey, You know, this is all you got out of him. And he just moved it on down the line, right? He already knew. He's like, I can't even get a tear mustered up. And then you see the way he talked. This is someone I cared about. I never once the way this was described, I was like, did you ever even like this woman? I never even got any kind of sense of like why y'all were together. Like, it seems like they got together, and if I remember correctly, she got pregnant pretty soon into it, which caused a catalyst of him having to be like, well, I guess here we go. And you know what I compared it to in the live chat? If you've seen Riding in Cars with Boys, Drew Barrymore, old movie, my God, get your Kleenexes and go watch it. Immediately go watch it. So good. Anyways, but that whole thing of like, well, got her pregnant, I guess we're getting married, I guess we're doing this, and it's like basically somebody you don't know, right? That, in my opinion, when that happened with him, that was, his life was over, right? And it kind of forced him into this, and maybe they got to know each other, and she's like, oh my God, this guy's abusive, and he's like, oh my God, I don't like her, she talks back to me, like whatever, you know what I mean? We don't know, right? I wasn't there. But what I'm saying is, it was a catalyst to put him in a situation that he didn't want to be in. Okay. And then clearly they got into life, whatever happened, they had another kid later. So, I mean, clearly something was taking place there. But where I'm going with this to sum up this little segment here is he just didn't seem like he liked her, but I would almost argue, I don't think this man likes women. And I'm not saying that in the way of like, oh, he likes dudes, but like in a kind of abusive type person like this where they don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like they want women, but is more as like a possessive thing to control, not in like a, I love you, you're my partner, and us against the world. No, not in this man's household. Now let's listen to one clip from the state prosecutor. Listen to how she talks to him, listen to the common sense she spews at him, and listen to how he kind of has to sit there and take it.
Now, there was no time on January 29th of 2024 where Caitlyn hit you, correct?
No.
She never struck you?
No.
She never struck Elwyn?
No.
She never struck Valen?
No.
In the moments before you shot her, you described to police that she was holding Elwyn in a bear hug, correct?
Yes.
Today you've described it as a one-arm hold. Fair to say?
No, the bear hug was in the third attempt, the final attempt.
Okay, but before that, Caitlyn was only holding Elwyn with one arm.
Okay, do you see how I was like, no. He'll stare daggers through this woman, right? And he'll come at her in this certain way throughout the trial that was very eye-opening. And when we were watching on the live stream, I was like, I want to see a female prosecutor grill him. Not a man, a female. Because he will not be able to take that. I think he would have a completely different vibe towards a male, right? Just a completely different vibe towards a man. Almost like he did in the police interrogation videos. And he certainly did have that here with him. He doesn't want to be told what to do by anybody, but certainly not a woman, okay? Look what happened to Caitlyn. Now, let's get to the chase. Let's watch his verdict. Now, I'm going to put up here and I'm going to kind of like talk over it, and then we'll listen to the verdict read. Absolutely watch this man's face. Absolutely watch this man's body language. Okay, so here we go. So she's, talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I got this. Now, the jury's being let out. Now, you see him. He's over there with his hands up. Yeah. This man legitimately thinks he's getting ready to go home, right? He's getting ready to go. They are going to see. She was the problem, right? Honey, I took one. Streets are safer tonight, kind of a thing, okay? He's just sitting there like trying to get, hey there, doing his little, let's gaslight the jury and whatever. Hey there, everybody. I'm taking y'all out to dinner tonight. After I get out of here, I do appreciate y'all. Okay, now it's getting ready to speak. So now watch what he does when he gets the verdict. Here we go.
How say you, Madam Foreperson, is the defendant Dustin Duren guilty of the crime of second-degree murder, recklessly causing the death of Caitlyn Maxsinger, as charged in the charging document identified with charge ID 2217221C, or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say, Madam Foreperson, the defendant is guilty?
Yes.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes.
How say you, Madam Foreperson, is the defendant Dustin Duren guilty of the crime of reckless conduct with a deadly weapon, as charged in the charging document identified with charge ID 2217222C, or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say, Madam Foreperson, the defendant is guilty?
Yes.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes.
How say you, Madam Foreperson, is the defendant Dustin Duren guilty of the crime of endangering welfare of a child, as charged in the charging document identified with charge ID 2217223, or not guilty?
Guilty.
You say, Madam Foreperson, the defendant is guilty?
Yes.
So say you all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Okay, so we're just gonna let him play out and look at his facial expressions for a minute while I talk. Okay, you saw what he did. The man was legit surprised. Like, to me, those facial things were like, huh? I had dinner plans tonight. Y'all did, even the child endangerment? I was protecting her from the danger. Are y'all crazy? Like, literally, that's the vibe I got from him. I mean, it's not often. I mean, Donna was like, oh, God, Harvey, oh my goodness. She was dramatic. But this dude is one of the few that I'm like, I really thought he thinks he was going home. Like, he's just dumbfounded by this. I mean, like, absolutely just like, what? I mean, I can't believe they said, look at him. His mouth is ajar. He's up there. He cannot believe that these people did this, right? Cannot believe it. He worked so hard on the story. So, all that being said, Mr. Dustin Duren is off the streets, okay? And all the more power to it. So, his sentencing is going to be December 11th. We're going to stream it. We're going to watch it, of course, right? This trial, I hadn't even heard of this case, okay? And we had planned so many live trials to stream and talk about and go over on, I think it was like October 20th. And they all kept going through. Brian Walsh, all of them got canceled. And I saw this was going to be streaming on Court TV. And I was like, let's watch it. And of course, once we heard the opening statements, you know, the chat room and everybody, we were like, oh, what? We were absolutely invested in this. It was a very quick trial. It took them 3 hours to find him guilty, of course, right? I mean, please. Now, like I said, December 11th is going to be the sentencing. I mean, I think he's going to have that time to figure out that he's not going home for a really long time. Do I think that he could reform himself enough for parole, if that's even an option? I don't know. Because again, he really walked himself down the rabbit hole to even think that this was justified, okay? Obviously, I get it. I know he doesn't want to go to prison for it, right? Of course, he's going to come up with any reason anybody would. So, I mean, is what it is. But yeah, this is a man that, you know, my takeaway from this is we're lucky the kids are alive, okay? Shocked, to be honest. Shocked. I don't believe anything that he said. I do not believe that she was going crazy and doing all this type of stuff. I believe she was escaping him, and this was the most dangerous time, like in any domestic violence situation, to leave. And he killed her in front of the kids. In front of each kid or whatever. Another thing too that I forgot to mention, when he talks about, I grabbed Elwyn and ran out to the car, it's like, what about the baby? Where's the baby? And another point in this, when he's talking about like getting all prepared, he's like, oh yeah, well, by the way, you know, I didn't say, you know, that in the midst of all this, I had taken the baby out of the car. She was this afterthought. And when that happened, I was like, he doesn't give two you know what's about that baby. That baby is extra weight, we'll just say. Okay, and that's why I was like, son, this is not going to end well when that baby becomes more of a liability. You know, he looked at Elwyn like she could, think about the ages of children when they can talk and express and, you know, say things like whatever. They're easier in that way to deal with than like a child who just knows to cry or do whatever. So I think it's a tragedy that these children had to will have to go through and learn this story and the whole 9 yards about what happened to their mother. Their dad did this. The one, she'll probably have memories of this taking place. Lord only knows. And that Caitlyn obviously lost her life. You could tell that her aunt really cared about her and probably wanted to get her out of this situation. You know, I hope that with the grandparents technically of the children, and they're splitting the children by split custody, that is the best thing for them and that they are in loving homes and they can prosper and move through the trauma that this man has inflicted on all of them, okay? So that is the case in the trial of Dustin Duren. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. I am curious to know. I'm curious to know, whatever you want to, question, but do y'all think that he made this whole thing up? Like, he literally just shot her point blank and killed her. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of a thing. So let me know in the comment sections while you're down there, if you could please. Drop little sofas off for Roscoe, the puppies who are on a little heating pad over there because it's freezing, and myself and you, the Sofa Squad. The most important, you make the channel possible. It wouldn't be here without you, and I greatly appreciate it. Until we all gather down there in the comment section to do all that stuff I just talked about, bam, I'll see y'all soon.
I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also
also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.
Welcome to the Sofa Squad, sipping from the cup that hey, come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.